Hi guys, it's Ricky. In today's video, I'm going to talk about how my case was dismissed after 3.5 years. But it's not over. I'm not going to let what happened go. I know the courts were hoping that, I'd let things slide, that I wasn't paying attention, but that's not going to be the case. And I was fair and patient from day one. I was very specific in the things that I asked for. I wasn't rude or disrespectful. There was no miscommunication in any way. But I had lawyers that lied to me, ADAs that misled judges and other people for whatever reason. So I'm going to make sure that people are held accountable for everything, and I said a lot of things to police officers, my lawyers, and talked about abuse going on in group homes for adults with disabilities that keeps getting ignored. And people think I'm going to let this stuff go, but that's not going to happen. So yeah, I was jerked around since October 5th, 2021. And then I was assigned a lawyer, Roger Banks. I'd been asking for dash cam footage, body cam footage, any footage from the arrest or when they talked to my ex for her alleged assault claim. But I've been, man, this is very frustrating. So I'm just going to keep going, even if I misspeak, just correct myself. But the first lawyer, Roger Banks, told me he received body cam footage and he'd started watching it. I believe it was April 2022. I'd have to get a court recording for that. That's the day he requested money for an investigator because of all the things I was saying, all the claims I had made. Though I think at that point he wasn't really interested in looking into anything. He was getting worried from some of the things he heard in that recording. And then he started stalling. He did nothing. So then I whined and complained, as the judges say. I he jabbed his finger in my face because I'd wanted him to get money for an investigator. And I told the judge about that, and she said I have trouble handling the truth. So, you know, I don't know what to say about that. That's what led me to start writing things down and keeping everything in email. After Roger Banks, I was appointed another lawyer. I talked to her on the phone once, and after I told her my story, I don't think she wanted anything to do with this. Then I was appointed Michael O'Doherty. He was all excited about my case, but he wanted me to attack my ex and leave out facts. You know, not tell the whole truth, just tell half the truth so it makes her look like a monster. But I'm like, I'm not going to do that. Like, I was sick when this happened. There's a whole like story to go with it, and I don't have to explain it again. If anybody want to watch my videos, they're there. So I was supposed to have trial with this Michael O'Doherty. He'd claimed he was going to get these videos, he was going to speak to witnesses and have them show up, but he never communicated any of that. He just like, all right, we're going to go to trial. And then the day of trial, he had nothing. He looked me in the face. He's like, do you trust me? I'm like, no. You didn't gather any of the evidence. You didn't talk to any of the witnesses. I've been wanting body cam and dash cam footage since October 5th when I went to court. I had to go back to East Brookfield, and that's when I was appointed an attorney. And I wanted it from day one. And it's amazing that some footage has started to appear after all this time. I haven't gotten to see it yet. I guess ADA White received it last week on Wednesday, and it's already been a week, and I haven't gotten a copy. But I've been asking for it for 3.5 years. But after Michael O'Doherty tried that stunt in court, he went into the courtroom, said something. I wasn't allowed to hear it. He rushed out of the courtroom and said he had to leave, even though we were scheduled for trial. He wouldn't explain anything to me. And then I received this text the following day. The court date tomorrow is a trial assignment date. It is not a trial date. Held on the fourth floor, room 23, 9 a.m. It does not seem you have my I do not seem you have confidence in my representation. Accordingly, I'll be making a motion to withdraw as there is a breakdown in the attorney-client relationship. A new attorney will be appointed. Now, this guy didn't communicate anything with me. He's got some serious issues communicating. He lied. He tried to force me to trial by surprise, like trial by ambush. Like, I don't know what kind of garbage that is. So before court, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to bombard this guy with information because I want to know what's going on. Yeah, I've been more than fair. I've been more than patient. But if you're not going to explain anything to me, like, I want to leave a trail. So I told him, I'm confused as to what's going on. You told me that we were going to have trial Wednesday, but you came into court totally unprepared and never provided me with any of the information I asked you about. I was told my case was going to be investigated by Attorney Banks, Decato, and yourself. We all agreed on who to talk to and what information to gather. As far as I'm aware, nothing was ever looked into. I was granted a court order for money to investigate my statements. Once I mentioned being coerced into pleading guilty in my last court case, ugh, and that it was because I found evidence that the Commonwealth created fake evidence in a previous case, which, I made videos about that. Like every lawyer I talk to gets scared and stops communicating with me after I mention this stuff. Beth and I talked about this stuff all the time, and she was pushing me to fight my coerced confession in a malicious damage case that the Commonwealth created fake evidence in. I already put that fake evidence that I found online. Like scumbags. And Beth wanted me to become co-guardian of her son because she was tired of the Commonwealth lying and not doing anything about her son being abused. Yeah. The last day, she told me she hopes I kill myself this time, and I laughed. She laughed, and she was going to call the police, and no one was going to help me, and it appears she was right. From now on, I'm going to need to communicate in writing to prevent any misunderstanding or confusion on anyone's part. And then he responds with, as I stated, there was a breakdown in an attorney-client relationship, but I'm making a motion to withdraw. Like, this guy was such a scumbag trying to sneak me into trial. And I wonder how many other people he's tried to do this to. Like, I'm not going to let this go. I'm not going to let you do this to other people. And I made a video. I posted it online. Right. I brought up stuff. You can watch it. I labeled it O'Doherty when I got rid of him. But then I moved on to attorney Alex Burgo. I met him July of 2023. And then I went to Worcester. We talked for over an hour about everything. I unloaded everything on him. There was no misunderstandings. He knew the evidence I wanted. He knew the problems that were going on my case, and he guaranteed me something was going to happen. And then he called me in October. I don't know for whatever. And then another October. What is this? So this is after I talked. I don't know why that's out of order. Anyway, July, after I'd spoken to him, I sent him an email because I hadn't heard back from him. No one I spoken to had heard from any investigators. So I'm like, it's been a couple weeks. I was wondering how things were with the investigation. Knowing my family has mentioned being questioned about the physical and mental abuse Beth's son, Stefan, endured and all the crap the Commonwealth forced upon her. Leaving her no choice but to struggle alone. She spoke about these things every time she visited with my family. She and I spoke about it every day. Did you receive copies of the audio recordings that Attorney Banks told me he obtained? And that was the body cam footage I've been asking for. He said he'd had it. He said he'd watched, I don't know, it was like a half hour of it. It was pretty long from what I heard. It was like 45 minutes to an hour long. And I talk a lot. And it's not even that I talked a lot. Like when the police arrived, I had my dog and my sister was on her way to come get us. And the police waited there for like 15, 20 minutes. And I kept talking until my sister got there. So I told Alex Burgo, there's a lot more details, but this is overwhelming to talk about. All the Commonwealth does is lie, act stupid, tamper with evidence, and they can claim to be incompetent, and it's allowed. I don't understand why they aren't forced to tell the truth. Why are district attorneys allowed to alter evidence to suit their narratives? That's my previous case. Attorney Banks told me that the DA is allowed to alter evidence, and he did. That's why my notarized statement was altered by the DA's office in a previous case, to hide officers aided someone committing a crime. The girl that hit me when I was walking didn't have car insurance. And I told Burgo I'm very excited and super positive about my case. I knew it was either going to get dismissed or I was going to win. And I'm going to make these police officers and my lawyers look like liars. Like, why did they withhold this evidence that's finally appeared after 3.5 years? And then I told Burgo if I don't receive all the evidence collected by my previous attorneys by Friday, I have no choice to post this and everything I have on this case, along with my texts with Beth online. I'm going to force this out in the open. Like all these lawyers knew, like I just wanted body cam footage that I knew existed, the dash cam footage that I knew existed. I mean, you got the Warren police gave me a ride to the emergency room in 2016. And we talked about the in vehicle and the dash cam recording systems that they just gotten. The cops seemed excited about it. It's like a new toy. Yeah, so after that meeting with in July with Alex Burgo and then my email, I still hadn't heard back from in writing, but we talked on the phone November 30th for 20 minutes. So you can imagine how much I blab and blab, and I kept asking, like, where is this stuff? Why haven't you provided it? Like, and I want stuff in writing. I want proof that you asked people in writing. And he's just hemming and hawing, oh, I'm gonna try, I don't know if I can. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. So then on December 1st, 2023, Alex Burgo finally responded by email. Like, your case was in courtroom 23. I asked the ADA to reach out to the Warren Police Department to inquire about any body worn camera. I'm like, I already knew it existed. Where did it go? Like, somebody had it, now it's gone. And where's the dash cam footage? I just want all the footage, all the footage. And like the body worn camera that the officers may have had during the arrest or interview with the assault victim. She said she would inquire. I asked her to try to get an answer in writing from the Warren PD, and she said she would try. I'm like, I don't know how hard it is to email people with a yes or no or a picture of some screens that show this information, but it seems that these people are completely incapable of doing this. And then I got another trial assignment date of January 10th. Administratively, your presence was not waived, so I must appear. I will request the investigator contact the witnesses you provided me and try to contact the alleged victim. I don't know why he was trying to contact the alleged victim. I wanted information from the ADA, and I was told that there was either a Rule 14 or Rule 17 that you could request information. Third-party information is the Rule 17. You should have had the ADA request information from Beth, not try to have an investigator do it. So I don't know if he was trying to keep this stuff off the record, the information I was looking for, but he's like, I will try to request the recording from the 209. I wanted a restraining order audio recording. He could tell you that it may be hard for him to get that recording by his appointment, as well as any other court-appointed defense lawyer does not automatically extend to civil procedures such as 209A hearings, which means he's not automatically entitled to it. Nobody told me that I could just get it myself. I'm on disability, so I could have gotten it for free. And if I didn't have disability, I would have had to pay $10 for it. But nobody told me I could get this information myself, and I'd wanted it for years. I'd wanted it to show my father before he died of cancer, but these scumbags, they kept dragging things out, acting stupid. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous the kind of nonsense I've had to deal with these people. And after that, December 19th, I talked to him for a minute. Waste of time. On January 10th, I went to court. And then we started talking about the body camera again. He said ADA White told him there is no body camera. Nobody was wearing body cameras that day. I made it all up. Like there's something wrong with me. He told me that there was no abuse of Beth's son Stefan, that there were no emails. So at that point, he's like, I want you to take a competency evaluation, which I thought he meant that I was losing my mind. Like, did I make up seeing this body camera that the officers were wearing? Did I make up all this abuse in my mind? Like, I thought for a second, like, maybe I bumped my head or something. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, I have all these memories of stuff, and I had pictures of it. I'd lost a lot of it in my emails, but I'm pretty positive like this stuff existed. So I'm like, you know what, whatever. I agreed to take the competency evaluation that day. But then I told him, like, back in 2016, Warren Police brought me to the emergency room. There was the dash cam and the in-vehicle recording system. And Burgo got really mad at me. Like, I thought he wanted to fight me because I brought that up. I'm like, dude, I know for a fact that those videos are there. I had like a long conversation with the officer about how the dash cam system worked. Because I was having like a panic attack. He brought me to the emergency room because I was suicidal at that time. It wasn't like I wasn't under arrest. So it was just it was a very troubling time for me. And those times seem to stick out in my mind. It's not like I forget this stuff. Those stuff are like burned into my memory. I remember seeing that dash cam recorder. Remember the officer talking about it. So I'm like, you're not gonna tell me this stuff doesn't exist. So I'm like, whatever, you know what? Then I called the police station. I'm like, if you're telling me the ADA is saying I'm a liar about all these recordings and this stuff doesn't exist and I'm making it up, like, I'll call myself. And then when I talked to the officer at Warren that day, she told me, yes, they were wearing body cams that day. And I can request all this stuff myself. So I'm like, well, all right. I emailed right from court. I'm like, well, I want this stuff. You just told me it existed, even though the ADA and my attorney Burgo said no. So then we came back to court weeks later. At this point, I still hadn't gotten any of the footage, even though we know now, as of last week, some of the footage has started to appear, but I haven't received it yet. My lawyer received a copy last week, but he hasn't mailed it to me. So what day was this? January 30th. So 2 weeks after I had that court date, Burgo got mad at me and 88 White too. Right that day in court before we left, Alex told 88 White, like he knows all about the footage. I know it existed. I want it. And he asked her for the emails too, right in front of me. Nothing happened. She can't pretend she didn't know about this stuff. I saw this stuff that exists. You can't just pretend because you don't want other people. I won't keep going on about it. All right. So the competency evaluation. I came into this thinking that maybe they were going to think that I was stupid, but at this point, I had gone through all my old photos and I had found proof of the abuse. I posted those videos on YouTube. I mean, this stuff's also emotional to me. It gets me all worked up talking about it. All the like, how can you hide this stuff? And how can you pretend abuse doesn't happen? Ugh. So, like, and even if it wasn't related to my case, you can't just ignore this stuff. Like, the state has a responsibility. Like, there's mandated reporters. When I report this stuff, it doesn't matter if I was accused of a crime. You have to look into it. You can't just ignore it. So, on the day of my competency evaluation, I figured I'm going to take my chance to try to mouth off and speak about everything I can in between. So this is what this lady wrote. Is alleged that on 10/4, Mr. Stebbins physically assaulted his then living girlfriend by hitting her in the face with his elbow during an argument. Attorney Burgo indicated he requested this evaluation as Mr. Stebbins fired his two previous attorneys and presents with nonlinear concrete thinking. He shared that Mr. Stebbins also appears to focus on grievances he had with regard to his case and espouses conspiracy thinking about his case. Now, if people have told me they received footage, they started watching it, and then all of a sudden they don't want to talk about it anymore. And I know they received it from the ADA in East Brookfield. So it means that the police sent it. So that's three people involved. Now nobody wants to talk about it. That's a conspiracy. Like you had it. I mean, it's some of it's magically appeared now that I proved that they had it. But either way, it's like whether it's sufficient presentability consult with his lawyers a reasonable degree of rational understanding and whether he is has a rationale as well as factual understanding of the proceedings against him. Yes. So they agreed that I was smart enough. I know this is all this talking is too much for me. I should pay more attention. But this was like super frustrating for me. I'm like, you're sending me to have my competency evaluated because you lied to me. Like it bothers me that you lied to me. I'm calling you out for being a liar, but now my competencies, oh, I'm stupid or I can't, I can't handle being lied to. And if I seem a little bothered by it, should I laugh? Like, thank you. Thank you for lying to me. So at the outset of my interview, I informed the defendant that I am a forensic evaluator ordered by the court to gather information that the court could use determining the defendant's competency to stand trial. The defendant was informed that as a result of this evaluation, the defendant could be hospitalized at a psychiatric facility for further evaluation. It was explained that any observations and the information the defendant provided would not be held confidential and could be included in the written report submitted to the court and possibly in oral testimony. The defendant was made aware that the defendant did not have to participate in the evaluation, that the defendant could answer questions selectively, and that the defendant could stop the interview at any time. The defendant was advised that any information obtained in this evaluation could be used at trial if the defendant introduces the defendant's mental state as a defense at trial. Additionally, it was explained that I was required to submit a report to the court on whether or not the defendant chose to participate in the evaluation. I also informed the defendant that I am mandated to report abuse or neglect of a child, disabled person, or elderly person should I become aware of such information. The defendant was further informed that should I have concerns about the defendant posing a risk of harm to themselves or others, I would be Also required, take appropriate action in response. When asked to summarize the warning provided above my clinical opinion, Mr. Stebbins understood the purpose of the evaluation is because my competency is in question, which I thought they meant stupid. And the evaluation is to assess my understanding of what's going on and the questions being asked of me. He understand that no, the evaluation is not confidential, and no, he does not have to participate in the interview. Like this was I feel like a joke. Like she said that she's a mandated reporter. I talked about the abuse going on in these homes that was being covered up, and I don't believe it was reported. Nobody called me and said, "Hey, can I get those pictures? What was going on?" Because I called the DPPC, the Disabled Persons Protection Commission, and I've talked to the state police about this, and nobody seems to care. Like all of this like neglect and abuse and ridiculousness going on inside these group homes just gets tossed aside. And I worked in group homes back in 2004, 2005, and then off and on until like 2010 or something like that. And it was horrible. I filed my own complaints all the time. But getting back to the subject here, what she said. Mr. Stebbins was born in Springfield, has been married twice. Both of his marriage ended in divorce. It's my fault. He has two adult children. He identifies his sister, who he currently resides with, as his primary support person in the community. Mr. Stebbins relayed that he is unemployed. He has been on SSDI since 2016 for a medical condition, skeletal-muscular disorder. He endorsed a history of trauma. He states that he was physically abused as a child within the family. He also noted that when he was attended Catholic school, he was locked in a closet because of his ADHD. He had difficulty sitting still, paying attention, and in that, I'd ask a lot of questions. And if it didn't make any sense, I'd keep asking. I'm still the same. Mr. Stebbins relayed that he completed some college. He was in college to become a medical assistant at Springfield Technical Community College. He did not finish college due to ongoing health issues. He denied ever being placed in special education classes in school, but noted that it was difficult for him to pay attention in class due to his ADHD diagnosis. When he was asked about a history of behavioral difficulties in school, he commented that he was defiant in school. I'd always talk. I wouldn't shut up, adding that I do as I say, not as I do. It didn't work for me. I needed explanations. When I was in school off and on, my hyperthyroidism gave me uncontrollable anxiety and panic attacks. So my behavior as a child was not like I wasn't some terror child out hurting people, being rude and disrespectful. I can't sit still, like even as an adult. Like I'm always tapping something, my legs always bopping. I don't sit still. And that's not some kind of issue with people. Just because people have a lot of energy doesn't make them bad people. But I was just a spunky kid. And I have no problem dealing with spunky kids myself. I just feel like other adults don't have those abilities. So to continue with this, problems noted by the defendant. Hyperthyroidism, skeletal muscular disorder. Mr. Stebbins said he's had 15 orthopedic surgeries and had a disc replaced in his neck. I don't think I've had anything since. Psychiatric, Mr. Stebbins endorsed anxiety, depression occurring in the context of uncontrolled hyperthyroidism. I mean, it's being treated now, so I don't know what that is, but history of self-harm. Yes, and she described it. Mr. Stebbins indicated he attempted suicide in 2004, 2005 via drinking a pint of vodka in 15 minutes, and in 2006 via taking 100 extra strength Tylenol, which he said he attempted suicide October 2015, cutting his arm. In December 2015, he attempted an overdose on his psychiatric medication, and in February 2016 via consuming rat poison. He commented that he had engaged in self-injury in the past with the help of someone else, and that he engaged in this behavior so his insurance would authorize him to participate in outpatient treatment. Mr. Stebbins relayed that his prior suicide attempts, self-injurious behaviors occurred to a combination of stress, mental health symptoms, anxiety, heart pounding, inability to sleep in the context of his thyroid condition, not being adequately managed at the time. I'd like to note too that I was ordered a competency evaluation, and I feel totally fine. I'm not suicidal now. I have no mental issues when I'm on my thyroid medication. When I'm not on my thyroid medication, when my thyroid is off, I act like spineless. I go along with people even if I don't agree. which was why I was coerced into pleading guilty in 2016. Even though I had evidence to prove I was innocent, I was ready to fight the courts. I thought I'd won. I knew I'd won. Then I got sick and gave up, which was a disaster. This history of violence here, we'll get in that. Mr. Stebbins has a history of being charged with assault and battery, and an instant offense is assault and battery. I've never assaulted and battered anyone, so the courts are hilarious and with this nonsense that they have in their records and what they can keep in here because I've never been convicted of any assault and battery. So inpatient, outpatient treatment. Mr. Stebbins said that he was psychiatrically hospitalized multiple times in the past, typically following suicide attempt he had. He has been hospitalized at Bay State Medical Center, Palmer, and Westfield Hospital. Like in the past, I was prescribed medication for health issues I didn't have. Doctors didn't address my hyperthyroidism because they didn't check for it. They thought I had bipolar disorder and depression, and they thought I was a hypochondriac at times. So I'll make another video with all my the drugs that the doctors put me on, my health records. But I was not in a good place, and the doctors made it worse. And it was not my fault. I mean, it was me acting ridiculous and having panic attacks and not doing what I was supposed to, being super lazy and just worthless. But it wasn't intentional. If somebody drugs you, and this was legal drugging, like I trusted the doctors and they failed me. Anyway, so Mr. Stebbins stated he has a provider through Griswold Center. He spoke to his provider in December 2023 and discussed the vitamin D deficiency. So I wasn't feeling good back in 2023, and I was able to get out of going to court a couple times because my neck was killing me, and I didn't notice like when I'm feeling off like this and certain issues creep up on me because of all the scar tissue I have. It causes all my migraines and my low energy. And if I don't address these issues, like they become problems. If I do address them, like I don't have these problems. So I gave the courts a chance to dismiss this in 2023, and they still jerked me around. Like they could have let this go. And thankfully, it was able to give me a lot more evidence to add up, but we'll go from here. So, additional information. Mr. Stebbins reported he used to be on Zoloft for stress and depression. He stopped taking this medication in 2023 because it caused him to experience stomach issues. He was prescribed Vyvanse in the past to manage his ADHD, but he stopped taking this several years ago. I didn't stop taking it several years ago. It was just back in 2022 I stopped taking that. But anyway, history of violent offenses says yes. According to my query, Mr. Stebbins has past charges of assault and battery, property violation, disorderly conduct, forgery of a document, uttering, and forgery. He has 4 209 restraining orders on his record, one of which is open and taken out against him by the alleged victim in the instant offense. He has closed two 2580 harassment orders. The girl that hit me with her car with no car insurance when I tried to report her was able to get a harassment order against me. That was ridiculous. I was attacked on her street and the cops ignored it. Like, how do you miss all this stuff? How can you be so, I don't want to get it that right now. So the next page, some current mental status. My appearance was clear, eye contact appropriate, not very formative. Other during the competency portion of the evaluation, Mr. Stebbins occasionally digressed off topic. For instance, he discussed a perceived past wrongdoing against him by police in an incident unrelated to the instant offense, in which he felt police officers helped a woman commit a crime against him. He relayed that a woman hit him while he was crossing the street. I was in the parking lot, but anyway. And she had no car insurance, and she didn't. And her registration was suspended, and police also knew that. He said the woman's sister worked in the courthouse, and she does, and she has a cousin that works in the clerk's office there with Judge Hadley. And the police did her a favor by not charging her with a crime. And they did, and they let her drive away. Mr. Stebbins also expressed the belief that a prior criminal matter he had out of a different court was mishandled, and that he was coerced into taking this case to trial, that the district attorney in the case tampered with evidence. Mr. Stebbins was able to be interrupted and redirected when he digressed off topic. This is like maddening that I had to go through this stupid test this time, but nobody wanted to do a competency evaluation last time after I tried to kill myself when I had evidence that proved I was innocent and you guys were acting stupid, like the courts and the lawyers that I had. It was absolutely nonsensical. So the data relevant to competency to stand trial. Mr. Stebbins reported he is charged with assault and battery. He said he's accused of elbowing his ex-girlfriend in the face. He is aware of his plea options and the possible outcomes of guilty finding for the index charge. He has an understanding of the purpose of probation, some conditions related to probation, and potential consequences for violation of probation. I mean, this is all nonsensical, childish stuff. Like, I wanted evidence. I don't need people to explain nonsense to me. Oh, there's a jury and they decide if you're guilty or innocent. No, I want the evidence. I wanted this body cam, dash cam footage that magically started to show up. Mr. Stebbins, we'll get back to this. Mr. Stebbins was able to spontaneously and accurately identify major courtroom officials, their roles, and demonstrated understanding to the differing allegiances in the courtroom, as well as the adversarial nature of the criminal justice system. He expressed a basic understanding of the purpose of the trial and knew the role of the jury. He was aware of what can constitute evidence. He identified evidence witnesses he could use in his defense. While he expressed a belief that there are no evidence witnesses against him, he acknowledged that the alleged victim could possibly take the witness stand and she is not on his side. He knew the role of a witness. He stated he knew that if a witness testified on the stand, then there would be a direct re-examination or cross-examination. He appeared to possess a basic awareness that if a witness were to lie on the stand, then they could be charged with a criminal offense. Well, 88 White, 88 White's going to lie soon. Is she going to be charged with a criminal offense? We'll get to that. Oh, man. He discussed information he believed the alleged victim would testify to if she were to take the witness stand. He did not specifically state that the alleged victim would testify against him with regard to the alleged incident, but he evidenced an awareness that she is not on his side, which suggested that he likely knows that she would not testify in his defense. Mr. Stebbins accurately defined a plea bargain. He was able to identify some of the pros cons of taking the case to trial versus taking a plea bargain, and vice versa, and why a defendant may wish to proceed with their case by way of either a trial or a plea bargain. Like, I wanted a trial. I'm not going to plead with these liars and scumbags that keep withholding evidence and trying to twist narratives to their advantage. Like, it doesn't make any sense. You guys are like, I don't know who you guys think you're dealing with. That's not me. No. Mr. Stebbins reported he does not feel he's been able to trust any of his attorneys who have represented him in this case. He identified one reason for this has been due to the length of time this case has been going on for court. He identified another reason for this has been due to what he perceives as a lack of follow-through on the behalf of his attorneys and meeting with his expectations in regards to gathering relevant evidence witnesses in this case. That's that body cam footage. Like, people tell me they had it and then it's gone. Nobody knows where it is, and now it doesn't exist, and now some of it's coming back. Like, during the interview, Mr. Stebbins expressed frustration that he has yet to receive all the evidence he requested in the case, despite his attempts to obtain some of this information from multiple different sources. He also expressed frustration about receiving different reports about the evidence, the existence of a potential piece of evidence he would like to use in his case, and that the district attorney may be withholding this piece of evidence. Mr. Stebbins said he's unsure if this piece of evidence even exists, and that he was told it does not exist, but he was apparently told the first attorney to represent him was able to get a hold of it and that the district attorney also potentially had it. He relayed that he did not fire his previous attorneys. He did not appear to have a clear sense about why his previous attorneys withdrew from his case. When asked about this, Mr. Stebbins expressed an openness to work with his current attorney as long as he thoroughly explains himself and his reasoning for why he is or isn't doing something and keeps him informed, shares with him any relevant case related info he's able to gather in the case. He noted he can argue a point until he's blue in the face, and he commented that he just doesn't agree with anything that someone says, and that he was aware that this can come off as argumentative. Like, if you lie to me and I call you out on this, like, no, I know this exists. Don't tell me it doesn't exist. And then you get mad at me. How's that argument on my part? That's your part, not mine. That's just, right. Next one. Getting to the end. Mr. Seven's evidence of rational understanding was given a hypothetical case scenario. He accurately identified factors, evidence witnesses one might consider choosing to take their case or trial to accept a plea bargain. He demonstrated a desire to be active participant in his case, obtained a favorable outcome. Of course I want to obtain a favorable outcome. Her clinical opinion, based on all available information, her clinical opinion, there is no evidence that Mr. Stebbins' presentation today suggests that he would not have the capability to rationally understand his criminal case or the capability, my gosh, or the capacity to comport himself in order to rationally assist his attorney in his defense. My voice is getting dry. Ugh. Mr. Stebbins understood the charge and the allegation against him and the potential consequences if found guilty of the alleged offense. He was aware of the plea options and the roles of various courtroom officials. He was able to define probation, trial, and the plea bargaining process. He demonstrated the ability to engage in rational decision making with respect to the reason a defendant may proceed by way of trial or plea bargain and weigh the pros cons of each option. While Mr. Stebbins reported he has not trusted any of the attorneys who have represented him thus far, he expressed openness to working with his current attorney as long as the lines of communication are kept open between them. Furthermore, Mr. Stebbins was able to rationally reason through a hypothetical case decision, did not present with current symptoms of mental illness while discussing a hypothetical scenario. Mr. Stebbins appears to present with some difficulty interpersonally and possesses somewhat rigid views about how to proceed in his case, which may make it difficult for counsel to work with him. However, Mr. Stebbins' views with regards to the instant offense do not necessarily appear rooted in mental illness, paranoia, delusion, thought disorder, and such. He appears to need information thoroughly explained to him, with some information re-explained, clarifying as needed at the time to express himself during discussions with his attorney so that he feels listened to and heard. Thus, as already stated above, my clinical opinion, Mr. Stebbins presents as capable of understanding his criminal trial and working with his attorney. Like, this is like childish stuff. My lawyers lied to me and lied to me about simple information. And I just kept asking for it and kept asking for it, and it became a problem. Like, if I keep asking you for something, like if I know you have a video, can I have the video? Can I have it? And you just keep ignoring me and oh, Mr. Stebbins seems aggressive. I just want the video, man. I still haven't had it. I still haven't gotten to see it. I don't know what's on it. I've heard it's hard to view and it's hard to listen to. Like, I don't care. I just want it. At the end, the recommendations in her clinical opinion. At the time of this writing, Mr. Stebbins does not require involuntary commitment. We'll talk about that too, to a psychiatric hospital, secondary being a risk to himself or others by reason of mental illness. Mr. Stebbins was cooperative with the evaluation process, blah, blah, blah. There's nothing here. All right. I'll finish it. I don't know why I do this. Mr. Stebbins was cooperative with the evaluation process. His expressed thoughts were coherent, understandable, linear, and largely goal-directed. He did not appear to present with heightened anxiety or depression, nor did he present with symptoms of mania or psychosis. While he made some potentially distorted comments during the evaluation about police officers in an incident unrelated to the instant offense and prior criminal matters he took to trial out of another court, he did not perseverate around this. Am I saying that right? Nor did his statements appear tied to instant offense. Additionally, Mr. Stebbins denied present suicidal and homicidal ideation, plan, or intent. Thus, at this time, writing this report, it is my clinical opinion that Mr. Stebbins does not pose a substantial risk of harm to himself or others due to symptoms of mental illness. Like, I don't know if they had me go into this because they thought I was going to hurt myself. Like, did they evaluate me because they thought, because I told Attorney Burgo that in 2016 I did try to kill myself and police brought me to the emergency room and they had the dash cam footage? I mean, I don't know. So then, months later, March 18th, 2024, I fired Alex Burgo. I mentioned the lies to the judge, and the judge just ignored it. There's a video of this online too. And he just asked me if I was unhappy. Well, yeah, I mean, you lie to me, I'd be unhappy. And then I got another lawyer, and I didn't really give him a chance. He wasn't gathering the information as fast as I wanted. I wanted my trial. So then I fired him. And then I was supposed to have trial August 5th. I had everything ready. I had gathered a bunch of stuff. And then I'd heard from somebody else, oh, I'm not going to have trial. I'm like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, ADA White's canceling trial because of something. She had laughed, hoping I was going to jump over the railing. because this is all the stress this is causing me and being jerked around. Like everybody thought that you guys could manipulate me and jerk me around and get me to act out and try to hurt myself or maybe try to hurt somebody else, which isn't going to happen. But anyway, so August 5th, I showed up with my nephew, and magically, there's a recording of that with Judge Ginsburg, I believe, going back and forth. Oh, I was supposed to have it. Like, you can't just schedule trial and then not have trial. ADA White had someone else explain to me how she couldn't find my phone number. That's listed on the police report. Like, stupid, really stupid, childish excuses for not doing what she's supposed to do. Like, whatever. So then September 9th, I go to court. There's a recording of that. I'm not going to play that, but Judge Ginsburg told me a whole bunch of stuff in her recordings, how I need to ask for stuff in writing, and maybe I should get a lawyer because they have a better education and know things. They can write things and explain things in a way she can understand. But I feel like the ADA and my lawyers, previous lawyers, were a bunch of liars, and they were not representing me the way they should represent all citizens. Like they were obviously hiding something and acting inappropriately. But anyway, like I was almost forced to take a second competency evaluation, but then I wanted it recorded and then said I was going to put it on YouTube because I'm sick of this trash. Like you're not going to keep ordering me to have competency evaluation after competency evaluation when I catch people lying and withholding evidence. And in my previous case, I tried to kill myself and you didn't give me a competency evaluation. You accepted a guilty plea. And I said I didn't need that information. I just wanted it to prove that police uh, denied me medical attention. And you guys are scum, like total scum. I haven't even gotten that recording yet because the courts are still withholding that. But anyway, after that I was mentioned that I could have been held for 20 days for refusing to take this second competency evaluation without it being recorded. Like, what kind of threats are this? You're not going to threaten to lock me up because I just want to record something. There was no argument going on. Like, there's no reason for these evaluators to hide anything. They have nothing to do with this case, so why wouldn't they allow it to be recorded? Unless everybody's up to some shady business. But anyway, January of this year, 2025, I filed complaints against my lawyers, Banks, O'Doherty, and Burgo, because I wanted to get a jump on this. Like, I know this evidence is going to magically appear one of these days, so I want to make sure, or, if the evidence didn't pop up, proof that it was destroyed would pop up. One or the other. So here we go with this audio recording.
Richard Stebbins, trial assignment.
Stebbins should be joining us on the Zoom. We have Commissioner Judge Ginsburg to appear by Zoom. But yeah, here's Richard.
Your Honor, I've provided Attorney Grady with the two last remaining pieces of evidence he requested, one of which was a body-worn camera policy. I spoke to the chief yesterday. He did tell me that the policy date was created in July of 2021, but it was not effective until March of 2022. So the officers were wearing body cams on that day, but they were not working and they were not recording anything. I also checked, there is no dash cam footage from that event.
Okay.
May I inquire, Mr. Stebbins? May I inquire?
Of course.
Mr. Stebbins, did you hear?
I'm just going to stop this here. So in a second or two, I'm going to say, yes, I heard about the body cam. But because of the way the audio was in the courthouse, I didn't hear her. She mumbled right past the dash cam. Oh, there is no dash cam. So I ordered this and got this recording like a week later. And then I heard that and I'm like, you know what? I'm writing my lawyer. This is some BS. There's no way that I'm going to let her get past giving. Ugh, this is the thing that really bothers me. This upset me the most. I'm like, you scumbag. So you saw the date there. There's no pause this. January 8th. And in the recording, you listen to it again, she said, I called police chief yesterday. Yesterday. Now, Alex Burgo, in January of 2024, January 10th, 2024, had a conversation. I told him about this, and he told you about dash cam footage. I wanted it. They had dash cam footage since 2016. Yet you provided policies and procedures for only the body cam, which was, that sounded stupid. Who wears a body cam but doesn't turn it on? We're just gonna wear it just to look good. It's a fashion item. Look, my necklace, but it has no function. It's never gonna do anything. That's a lie. And then you don't have any policies and procedures for the dash cam in vehicle recording system. I, come on, like what is wrong with people? And then I wrote these little notes. Like the Commonwealth wasn't concerned about my competency back in 2015 and 2016. They tried to get me to plead to a continuation without a finding. And then I think they realized once they got me to do that, like, oh, maybe we'll get him to plead guilty because he's trying to kill himself and he's really going through a lot of stuff right now. And he's on a lot of medication. Let's really like screw him over. Keep this man. Then Wednesday, April 2nd, 2 days before I was supposed to have trial, my lawyer received a notice that some of the dash cam footage has appeared. I didn't hear about this. I didn't get to be involved in this at all. I haven't gotten to see it yet. Then Thursday morning, I got a text, hey, can you appear on Zoom? I logged into Zoom. I didn't get to hear anything. And then I got a text saying, case is dismissed. Good luck. Like, no, it's not. I mean, my case is dismissed, but this isn't over. I'm not letting this go. Like, totally crazy. So later that night, I learned that one video was finally acknowledged. And he wrote an email to me. My lawyer was given a copy on Friday, the 4th. And, today's the 11th. I still haven't received a copy. Like, I still want a copy. I'm never going to give up. I want this stuff. I told you it exists. I told everybody it exists. I don't care if it's garbage. I could have been singing songs, and I still want it. Like, this is the same situation I faced with the Commonwealth years ago. Like they withheld evidence and stalled my case as long as they could. Like I know people were hoping I'd forget everything I've been through and other things that people are enduring right now, but I can't do that. Like I'm not going to let the Commonwealth helped a girl driving without car insurance, altered my police report, and ADA Katherine Johnson provided a fake receipt, trying to act like, oh, look at this girl had to pay for it herself. No, she didn't. You're a liar. Such a scumbag liar. And Judge Hadley tries to act dumb. Was something missing from this report? How many thousands of police reports have you seen, Judge Hadley, involving motor vehicles where the insurance information's there? Because I've seen other reports after the fact, and that information's there. But the Springfield police deleted it, or the ADA's office helped them. Because I went to the police office and police station and tried to complain and talk to the people on Maple Street. They were supposed to be civilians, and nothing ever happened. We're not going to ramble on and on about this forever. But hopefully this helps somebody. Like my case isn't over against the Commonwealth, and it's just like collective stupidity nonstop. So I'm gonna make another video next time about my mental health records that I got from 2014, 2015, some 2016, and how the Commonwealth didn't care about my competency then or my mental health. Like that's disgusting. Thank you, everybody. Take care.